in light of the Sandy Hook incident and gun violence in the city of New Haven? Should there be stricter gun laws? Please. Would you prefer to come to the podium, whichever's one?
Yeah, I think I'd prefer that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
No.
No, okay.
Speak into the mic, please.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, can everybody hear me?
A little better, a little closer to your mouth would be great.
Yes?
That's better.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so in light of recent events in the media, such as Sandy Hook and Aurora, it's become evident that gun violence is a huge issue in the United States, and one that we really need to put an end to. So we believe that the government has an imperative to maximize the life, both the quantity and the quality of their citizens' lives. And we believe that this can be done through increasing gun control in the United States. So gun control is sort of this vague term, so we're just going to clarify what we mean when we say that right now. So when we say gun control, we mean that we want to put a ban on all semi-automatic weapons for citizens. We want to limit magazine clips. We want to require background checks, require permits. We want to ban all gun shows. And we want to ban citizens grants to the ability to carry concealed weapons, and we want to aesthetically standardize guns. So we want our police to be able to look at a gun from 30 feet away and say, that is legal or illegal. All right, so what I'm going to talk about today is safety. And there are three different kinds of safety that I believe will be enhanced by increasing our current gun control. And the first one that I want to talk about, the most obvious, is our physical safety. So first off, we believe that decreasing access to guns is going to prevent crimes from happening in the first place. So to prevent crimes that, if a gun had not been there, it just would not have happened otherwise. So why does the average Joe commit a homicide? Because he's in a deep emotional fit, either of rage or jealousy or sadness. The guy, he's 99% of the time, he's a stand-up citizen. Because he's feeling this deep emotion, he might just commit a homicide because he has this easy access to a gun. So we believe by increasing these gun control restrictions, we're going to put more steps in between feeling that emotion and then committing the act. So we believe this doesn't just go for homicide, but also suicide. So suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States. It's most commonly committed with a firearm, and that's also the most effective means of committing suicide. So again, we just want to put more steps in between the person feeling those deep emotions of depression and then actually committing the act of taking his or her own life. So I also want to talk about accidents. So if you own a gun in the United States, if you have a gun in your household, members of your household are 3 times more likely to be the victims of gun-related incidents. They're 3 times more likely to be the victims of homicides. So for every example of a good guy using his handgun to save the day, there are literally thousands of accidental and deliberate homicides and assaults involving a handgun in which the handgun is used against its owner, his family, or his friends. And furthermore, guns are one of the most common items searched for in burglaries. So they're actually the cause for petty crimes, as well as homicides and suicides, as well as these violent crimes. So not only do we believe that decreasing access to guns will prevent crimes from happening in the first place, but we also believe that they will restrict the intensity of crimes that do become violent. So, for example, on the same day that 20 children were gunned down in Newtown, Connecticut, a man in Xipeng, China, walked into a primary school and stabbed 23 children, and all of them lived. So we believe that increased access to guns makes crimes of passion deadly, where they otherwise would have been just, seriously injurious to the victims. So we also, a lot of statistics have shown that fatal exchanges occur because an innocent person draws a gun on their assailant. So criminals often only shoot citizens after they pull out the gun in self-defense. They see a threat and they see that they need to be taking this person down. So if you think about the typical NRA narrative, good guy pulls out gun and defends himself, this actually isn't true. What's actually really happening is those good guys' kids are finding that gun in his dresser and having accidents, or he pulls it out in self-defense, and then his assailant actually uses a gun against him, detecting this threat. So now I want to talk about economic safety. So not only are we invested in our citizens' physical safety, but also in their economic safety. So I've sort of talked about how increasing gun control is going to limit the amount of crime and the intensity of that crime that we have in the United States. So now I want to talk about the criminals. So therefore, by decreasing this crime and its intensity, we're going to be decreasing the amount of criminals that are sent to jail and the length for which they are sent to jail. So right now, our prison system is not working. We spend 6 times the amount of money on our prison system that we spend on public education. We have a 65% recidivism rate. We're turning to private prisons to fund our penal system, which have just much higher rates of abuse. And this is because we cannot foot the bill right now for our prison system. It's just too expensive. So we believe that by increasing gun control, we're going to actually lighten our economic burden of paying for the system. So yes, we'll be effectively crippling the arms industry, but very few people profit from that, whereas anyone who pays taxes is going to profit from a lightened prison system. So we believe that we have the most citizens' interests at hand when we're thinking about their economic safety, when we're thinking about lightening the burden of our prison system. So thirdly, I want to talk about mental and psychological safety of our citizens. So while the media really loves to cover these big stories like Sandy Hook, like Aurora, like Columbine, the reality of gun violence is that it's just a very constant thing for people living in poor urban neighborhoods. So gang violence accounts for 40 to 90% of violent crime in any given state. So a lot of people that are exposed to this from a young age develop these very serious psychological complexes. So either they learn violence is the way to gain respect in a society, and then they actually end up joining these gangs and sort of perpetuating this vicious cycle that we have currently going on. Or a lot of psychological studies have been shown on children that are exposed to community violence, and they exhibit the same symptoms of PTSD war victims. So they become very withdrawn. They don't respect adults, and they develop these very hostile views of the world that are just not very good. Especially considering that the vast majority of these people that are experiencing community violence are socioeconomic minorities. So we want to empower these people. We want to put an end to gang violence, and while of course increasing our gun control is not going to totally end everything, by having less guns in supply in the United States, we are going to make a dent in this. We believe that as the government, we have a moral imperative to help these people and to help end the psychological violence as well as the emotional, as well as the physical violence on our citizens. And we believe that increasing gun control is going to do so. So as Pro, we believe that we are invested in the safety of our citizens, not just the physical safety, not just the economic safety, not just the psychological safety, but all three. We believe that we will be maximizing the quantity and quality of our citizens' lives by increasing these gun control laws, and we believe that we will be putting an end to these big news media stories that have been making a splash recently. Thank you.